This is Craiglea Ross. Ross is for sale at the Winter Australian Working Stock Dog Auction, 7th to 13th of June 2024. Ross is an AI pup. He's by Pat Byrne's Moss from Ireland, out of Craiglea Ruby. There's plenty of video on Facebook and YouTube of Moss. Ruby's been one of my best females over the years. She works all classes of cattle and she's been a very good catalogue trialer. This is the second time that we've done this cross. That's been a good one. This is Ross on a left-hand outrun, about 300 metres up to the back of this paddock. So Ross obviously works from horseback, but most of the work that he's done has been from a four-wheeler. He's never travelled in a side-by-side, but he would learn that very quickly. So this little demo is just to show an outrun. No command from when I sent him. Happy to pick them up and bring them back to me. This just a little bit further along, just showing Ross coming off balance, just doing a little bit of driving. Same paddock, about 300 metres on the right hand side, this time for a handful of sheep. So I've just asked him to steady there, and I'm just flicking him around to the anti-clockwise to tuck those sheep into a bit of a drive and just take them up the paddock. So this is Ross's first look at some genuine fresh weaners. Just with the time of year that Ross was born, he hasn't seen weaners until just a week or so ago. So he's done a lot of work on dry older cattle and a little bit of cow-calf work before he ever actually got to see a weaner. So this is genuinely his first look at fresh weaners.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy.
So this is one of the first opportunities I've had to
Get him. Good boy. Get him. Good boy.
teach Ross to bite properly.
Good boy.
And there's plenty of commentary from me just to build his confidence and reassure him that he's doing the right thing.
Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Get him. Good boy. Get him. Good boy. Good boy. Get him. Get him. Good boy.
So this is the first handling in the yards with these weaners.
Good boy. Good boy. Get him. Good boy.
So apart from on their mothers, they've never really seen a dog before.
Good boy. Good boy. Get him. Good boy. Good boy. Get him, get him, get him. Good boy. Good boy. Get him. Good boy. Hey, Ross. Get him. Get him, get him. Good boy. Good boys. Get him. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Stop.
Nice soft stop.
Hey, Ross. Hey, Ross. Ross.
So Ross still has a few little mistakes in him. You notice he was just going to leave that one weaner behind. I just stopped him and we tidied it up. Here's some mustering. These are some 18-month-old steers. Maybe somewhere around 450 kilos. It's just under 200 in this mob. I'm just asking Ross to keep this tail moving along this gully. Wherever possible, I just let him figure it out for himself. So Ross is fully trained on whistles. Still makes a few mistakes, but I'd call him very close to fully trained. So then I was just using the stop whistle to tell him he was incorrect until he took the clockwise whistle that I was asking him. That's a there whistle, just to tell him I want him to work there. This a little bit further along, the same job. That's a force whistle. Just asking Ross to get those cattle started.
Here, Ross. Here, Ross. Here, Ross.
That's a clockwise whistle. I'm trying to send Ross clockwise here. Just not quite sure how to get down into that gully.
Get him, get him.
So that's a good attempt. As I said, he's still got a few mistakes in him. He cut that beast off, but to me that's very forgivable for his age and for the situation. That's an anti-clockwise whistle, just asking back here to the tail. Same again, he was just looking to miss that last beast. So I was just a bit hard on the whistle, just to pull him up and tell him to collect them all. This is just a little bit further along. So it's just looking to tuck this lead in. They're meant to be headed to the right hand side of screen. So Ross was just running a little bit tight there in the long grass. So gave him the bend out to the left and he took it, which is good. So he's just blocked these steers and I want him to tuck them over to the right, to the rest of the mob. So that's a there whistle. It's just to tell him not to run to the head, or I want him to stay there and push these cattle across. Same thing, there whistle. I want him to work there. So he's understood what I meant. Just tucked in on the tail and into a drive. He's still looking back at me a little bit with the driving, just looking for a bit of confirmation, I guess. So it was just a walk-up whistle to say, walk in there and drive. So it makes this a reasonably long video to watch, but I really want to be able to show what Ross can and can't do. I like to leave this little bit of work in here just to say that we can pick up these practical jobs with periods of no command. But if he makes mistakes, I just get on the whistle and help him out. Same again, I was just a bit suspicious Ross was going to miss that Hereford fella at the back. I just want to let him know not to do that. Ideally you'd do it naturally, but he is what he is. Same again here, he's just creeping a little bit far forward. I've just interrupted him with a whistle to teach him to be patient and keep those stragglers coming along. So that's probably Ross's biggest weakness at the moment. I wouldn't call it a huge weakness, but he's just not a supernatural gatherer. But where he's weak in that area, we can help him out with a little bit of command. And it's improving every day with this sort of practical work. I'm actually really impressed with how quick this dog's progressed in the last few months since I've started to video him a little bit for sale. So I've just arrived up here at a sell centre. I just called Ross off with a big whistle. I'm just pulling him off balance here just to clear that sell centre. I don't like the cattle coming over the top of me.
Good boy. Get him.
He's brought them all the way up, and now I just like to push these cattle out of our personal space. So it's really good for the young dog and good for the cattle too.
Boy. Good boy. Hello, Ross. Have a dip. Good boy.
So I've just changed my gates around, put these steers through to a fresh paddock. So I've just sent Ross out around them. Now we wait. That was an anti-clockwise whistle I just gave. I'm not sure exactly where Ross is, but I just want him right there where he's turned up. So he's come off balance, gave him a little force whistle. So we just missed one that ducked in behind the four-wheeler. He's done a good job to pick it up. It's a different job on a different day. Just a little bit more mustering. Just sent Ross across that gully, left-hand outrun. I need those steers to head more towards the right of screen, sort of walk them up this gully. So they're clockwise whistles that I'm giving. I wanted Ross to dig those cattle off the fence and get around to the head to bend them, which he finally did, and he's doing a very good job at. That's a stop whistle and an anti-clockwise whistle, just to send him back to the tail. That's the direction I want them to head, so that's a good job. Just another little clip here. This is 40 head of pregnant heifers. Just walk them down a laneway, come out the laneway. Just want to flick Ross around to the right hand side there on an anti-clockwise. Tuck them through this gate. That's a there whistle. Just don't want him running up at the head to block them. That's another there whistle. I just want him covering that side so they don't head back up that laneway to the right. So that's just a little clip to show navigating a few gateways and laneways and things like that. These are some bulls, obviously. There's about 40 something in this mob. Yeah. So anyone who's worked big numbers of bulls before knows that they hate to stay together. They love to spread out. And these Hereford fellas, they're very quiet and docile by nature, by breeding, so they're very heavy to shift. So you need a dog to be able to shift them. But Ross is doing a great job here. So we're trying to put these fellas together and walk them up a fence over to the right hand side of screen. There's obviously some nice fresh oats here. They haven't been in this paddock yet, so they're enjoying the oats. But I want to keep these fellas together and walk them up the fence over to the right hand side of screen. So Ross is doing a great job here.
Hey Ross.
A little bit further along, they're starting to spread out again. And the lead's really starting to spread out from the tail. So I just want to send Ross up there to tuck the lead in. So he hasn't quite gone all the way here. So a couple of stop whistles tell him he's incorrect, and a big clockwise whistle. So again, he hasn't quite picked up the message. So I'm riding up there just to tell him he's incorrect and help show him what I actually want. So they were just stop whistles to tell him he's incorrect. And clockwise whistles to send him where I want to send him. So as I say, Ross still has a few little mistakes in him, but he's not 2-year-old yet, he's only 22 months old in most of these clips, younger in some of them. But he's certainly well trained enough that when he does make mistakes, he's taking the whistle commands really well. It's the same deal, a bit further along. These fellas keep spreading out and drifting off the fence. An anti-clockwise whistle. Just want Ross to show up back to the left hand side of screen. Push those bulls over the right hand side towards that fence.
Ross! Good boy.
So he's just not quite taking my anti-clockwise whistles.
Ross!
I'm just using my voice to kind of convince him to come around where I want him.
Ross!
That's better. Couple of little force whistles.
Ahoy.
Pretty slow going, these couple of videos with the bulls, but I just think they're worth leaving in just to show a little bit of command. And they are heavy cattle to shift, so a weaker dog wouldn't be able to move these fellas. So a little bit of cow-calf work. Ross hasn't done a huge amount. I just like to sort of let them get to around that 2-year-old before I let the cows chase them. But he's working with a couple other dogs here. One's his 3/4 brother, same sire. Yeah, both by moss out of a spud bitch. That's Ross there, just come over for a little bit more reassurance and send him back to work. So Ross isn't a huge biter, but he is a pretty calm sort of worker, fairly casual. So he's certainly contributing to this job. But yeah, I just want to be very clear that he hasn't done a huge amount of cow-calf work. He's certainly ready for it, but I'd keep working him in a team on the wet cows for a bit longer till he just keeps building his confidence. He's certainly nice and confident on dry cattle, which we've seen. But, he'll certainly contribute to a team with the cow-calf work. Bit hard to tell which one he is. That's him at the back there, the bigger, leggier sort of dog. little bit further along. So he's not looking to attack those cows, but he certainly had plenty of cows bellow at him and chase him a bit, so he does know what that's all about. Here's another job on a different day, similar thing. So that's Ross there to the left. Now he's back on the right. So he's certainly contributing. He's a little bit younger in these cow-calf clips. As I mentioned earlier, Ross sort of went through his work experience a little bit back to front. Did a lot of yearling work, a lot of older dry cattle work before he ever got to see weaners. So he's actually working cows and calves here. He's never seen those weaner clips like we saw at the beginning of this video. He's still learning to drive here as well, so he's looking back to me for a little bit of reassurance. Ross hasn't done a lot with ewes and lambs. I don't own many sheep. This is all I own. But there's quite a few fresh lambs in this little packet. So there's quite a bit of command in this little clip, but as I say, this is probably the first time he's seen little lambs. He's done a lot of cattle work in the last few months, and I'm often encouraging him to sort of get into it and push them up. Whereas this little bit of work, I just want to teach him to steady a little bit, give those ewes and lambs a bit of room so they don't turn around and fight him.
Steady, good boy.
That's better.
Steady. Steady. Steady, good boy. Watching.
So these last couple of clips are just to show a little bit of closer work and to show Ross's commands. So he's just run a little bit far and deep on that outrun. I'm using a pull-in whistle just to encourage him in. Most of the clips that you've seen, I've been encouraging him to bend out. But that's just an example of how I might pull him in. The pull-in whistle is the same as the walk-up whistle, which is the same as the force whistle. So that's a stop whistle, just followed by a work there whistle. So he took the stop nicely, so I asked him straight up to work. There's a bit of a reward. That's a there whistle, which means work there. Anti-clockwise side command. Same again. Stop whistle, followed by a work there whistle. That's a steady. And again, the steady whistle and the there whistle are the same. It's only the tone that differs. So that's my way of telling him to work there and just tuck in on the tail of those sheep and drive those stock away. So they're anti-clockwise whistles, just to send him anti-clockwise. Just straighten those sheep up a bit. And those other whistles are just there whistles. Tell him to work there. That's better work. That'll do. It's a call off. Ross is also trained on voice commands. Over is clockwise, back is anti-clockwise. Stop means lie down.
Watching.
But he's far more developed on his whistles than he is on his voice commands. So if you can't whistle, I'd highly recommend getting hold of a sheepdog whistle. You get a lot more done, especially at distance. So left-hand outrun here. He's showing up in a really good spot, so I'm just going to shut my mouth and let him work. He's overrun just a little bit there, so he's got to go and correct it. That was a stop. That was a steady whistle, followed by a anti-clockwise. He's got his tongue out a bit here now, so I just gave him a little bit of a shh to speed him up. A few more anti-clockwise. That was a stop and a clockwise. That's an anti-clockwise on the run. Clockwise on the run. That's just to kind of prove that he really does know his side commands. And we just pull him off balance here. That's a there whistle. Clockwise. Clockwise. There. Clockwise. Just take these sheep off my feet and drive them away. They're just steady whistles. So once I get that bit of a steady like that, he's headed the right way, I just let him work. And a call off. Ross is a great type, good traveller. He's a very calm, casual sort of dog, so he does seem to get plenty of mileage
Boy, Rossi.
without overdoing himself. Great temperament. Ross is a genuine, well-bred, well-trained, well-experienced working dog. He's still young, got his whole life ahead of him, and we're very proud to present him for sale. We encourage any inquiries on the details below. We welcome any inspections by appointment at home at Llangwm, Queensland. Check out the Australian Working Stock Dog Auction website. Bidding begins 7th of June. Thanks for watching.